Okay. Hi, I'm Dodie Jackson with the Garden Club of Houston, a Garden Club of America associated club, and I'm here today to talk to you about topiaries. Topiaries are basically just trained plants. Human beings have been training plants for thousands of years. There are many different kinds of topiaries. There's the clip variety, there's a wire variety, there's stuffed, there's a espalier, and there's also the bonsai, which is the Japanese manner of topiary. We're going to talk right now about stuffed topiaries. This is a little rabbit. I kind of pre-stuffed it in advance. What you use is dampened sphagnum moss, and you pack it all around the outside of your form, leaving some space on the inside for your potting medium, and that's where we're going to put our little ivy. But how do you stuff these forms? You get your sphagnum moss good and wet, and you pack it in. And then you wrap it tightly with fishing line. And this is an inexpensive fishing line that you can find anywhere, hardware store, sporting good, and tie a knot, tie it around, in this case, the ear. You tie a knot really tight, and then you wrap it to hold the sphagnum moss in. Now, you do this multiple times because you want many, many layers of the moss. And when you grow this type of topiary, it's really important to keep them relatively moist, because that's where the plant is going to get its nourishment from, the moisture. And so I usually put a little fertilizer in my water just to help the plant. Again, scale is very, very important. You don't want to put a big ivy on this, so I have a small ivy I'm going to use called duck's foot, and it's a tiny little ivy, and it's in great proportion to my little bunny. And I happen to really like bunnies. I have a lot of bunny sculpture in my garden, and I really think they're fun. Now, I'm retying this just to stabilize it. And we'll look and see if that's enough. I think it needs a little more at the top. So I'm going to rewrap the top of my bunny's ear. I'm going to tie it off one more time. There are many places you can find these forms. Here in Houston, River Oaks Plant House has lots of topiary forms, and my big bears in the back are from River Oaks Plant House, and they last a really long time. But if you have a stuffed topiary out in your garden, you're going to need to maintain it, because the sphagnum moss will eventually break down and you will need to replace it. And so they're fairly carefree and probably need the replacement of sphagnum moss once a year. And if you live in a colder climate, you're probably going to have to tend to them even more, because snow and freeze will break them down quicker. Now, I don't like having one-eared bunnies, So we're going to finish stuffing the second ear. Okay, so now we have our frame all stuffed, and we have a little hole in the center for our planting material. I'm going to use this little duck's foot ivy. It's a miniature ivy. It was hard for me to find here in Houston, so I actually found it online. And I'm just going to plant my little sprigs in here. I put more dirt and a little more moss, so I have the continuity of the moss, and it will hold some moisture in. And then with one of these greening pins, I'm going to poke that moss down into the soil next to the plant. And then I'm going to put another pin in just to stabilize the plant material. And then what I'm going to do is take another greening pin and tack this ivy down onto the form so it will start having roots and shoot out new growth. And in about 3 weeks, this bottom part will be covered with ivy. This is very fast growing little ivy, and you just keep going around and training your little vine onto your little topiary. Now, we have lots of topiaries, and this one has been soaked in water. This one is going to have a clay, it will live in a clay saucer with water at least every 3 or 4 days in Houston to keep it moist and feed the plant. This topiary is also going to be in a saucer for water. This has been soaked. Now, if you have a topiary that you are not successful with, that you went on vacation and it died, you don't have to restuff it unless it needs restuffing. This one does not need restuffing. It's in great shape. And so you can take just a shish kebab skewer and poke a hole here and plant your little vine, and then go ahead and pick it down with this, and you have saved yourself a lot of work and a lot of time and effort. But next time you go on vacation, have a friend sit with your dog.